Hello and welcome to Bud's RPG Review, where I give my thoughts on role-playing games, card games and board games. Today's review is the free RPG Day adventure, The Derelict, by Chaosium for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. In the UK, free RPG Day is something I have difficulty with. In the city of Liverpool, we don't have any gaming shops that support it. The nearest shop is Fanboy 3, which is 45 miles away in Manchester, so the logistics involved in getting to the shop in order to get a free adventure, even for a collector like myself, are just not feasible. I searched eBay for this to no avail. So you can imagine my delight when Chaosium announced that they would make this available to buy on print on demand from Lulu. This was further bolstered by the news that the adventure was written by the godfather of Call of Cthulhu, it says so on the cover, Sandy Peterson with Mike Mason. Now, I've never bought a POD title before, and I have to say I'm fairly impressed. The book itself was £3.16, just over $4, and the postage was £2.99, about $3.90. That is less than it would have cost me to drive to Manchester and back and pay for parking, so no complaint on the price really. Having not seen the free version, I can only imagine that it looks pretty much the same as this version. Right, from this point there will be spoilers. If you have plans to play this, then this is your one and only warning to stop reading. Okay, so to the cover. I noticed the absence of the Call of Cthulhu logo on the front. For some reason they've only put it on the back, I'm not sure why. Onto the art. I love this cover. For me it harkens to the golden age of role-playing in those early 1980s adventures that were released. To the inside. The basic premise of the adventure is a combination of what I would say of John Carpenter's The Thing combined with a slasher flick. One scenario has the group, a gang of rich Hollywood stars, travelling across the Atlantic to the port of Liverpool on an expensive yacht in order for the owner to sell it to a buyer there. On the way, they stumble upon a refrigerated cargo liner called the Groenland Tropisch between Greenland and Iceland that has run aground on an iceberg that looks deserted. The salvage for towing a huge ship like this back to port is a lot, so the guy who owns the boat decides to investigate. The second scenario they present is one of a salvage team that has been sent to collect the vessel and tow it back to port. All good so far. Upon boarding the ship, the investigators find it is in a state similar to the Norwegian camp in The Thing, blood and damage everywhere. Unbeknownst to the investigators, the ship and its crew stumbled across a creature from Norse mythology called a Cyapod, which the writers have pulled from Eric the Red saga. The Cyapod itself is a fearsome opponent that has to be defeated by the investigators using guile and coming up with a plan, which they hint at using the CO2 bottles contained within the cargo hold. I imagine a straight fight with the Cyapod would lead to a few party deaths to say the least. As adventures go, I can't imagine this lasting more than 3 nights. It's pretty straightforward as Call of Cthulhu adventures are, but that's not to say it's poor. It's really well fleshed out throughout. Even the pre-generated characters are pretty well done and all have interesting backstories. One interesting point to note is the adventure is set in 2007-2008, which would imply that it's Delta Green friendly, but I'm not entirely convinced that it's suited to that setting. In conclusion, this is not a bad excursion. If I had received this on Free RPG Day, I'd be pretty pleased as it's not bad. And it is for 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, which doesn't have an abundance of adventures available for it so far. As a free RPG, I would give this an 8 out of 10. As a paid adventure, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It really is for collectors only, but you shouldn't feel like it isn't worth buying. It is quite cheap. Bud out.